last one in Chapter 9, the undoing of trigonometry. The trickiest thing in this lesson will be that they'll give you sides and you are expected to find the angle. So the big question is, how do we undo SOHCAHTOA to find the angle? And the short answer to that is that each of these keys on your keyboard, on the calculator, has above it an inverse key. And it looks like a little -1 on it. Yeah, and they're each called inverse tangent, inverse cosine, inverse sine. Though there are some children that forever call it cosine -1. The plebes. If you want to be old school, you could call them arc sine, arc cosine. Enough of that. I'll do that problem, a similar problem to this one, in just a bit. In this one here, by the way, since we're using opposite and hypotenuse, you would be using inverse sine. Before we do that, two phrases, though, that you need to be aware of. If your face, with a little buzz cut, and you look upwards from the horizon, then we call that an angle of elevation. So however many degrees it is going from the horizon upwards. An angle of depression, on the other hand, is not that you are sad because you're having to wear a hat, yes? But rather that you are looking downward from the horizon, and then we look down. All right, so now a little problem. Summertime comes along, you go out for a little stroll and find a nice apple tree and a cliff by the ocean, and you sit and commence to eat. Your afternoon is spoiled by a noise you hear off in the distance where somebody is yelling, "Help!" And so you have to decide, what angle is that person who is yelling "help" at me at? And the angle that they're referencing is this, would be this angle here. Okay? All right. You look at your watch, you notice that your altitude is 100 meters. How convenient. You also know that based upon the sound travel from that person out in the ocean, from when their lips moved and the sound reached your eye, that they are exactly 200 meters. No, that's too convenient. 150 meters from you. All right, so what is that angle of depression, we'll say? Now be careful. We're going to find that angle there, but that angle there will not be the angle of depression. The angle of depression will be up here. So from the horizon coming down. Make sure that you give the correct answer in that case then. All right, first of all, we need to set up the right trig ratio. Is it SO? Is it CA? Is it TOA? Well, again, there's our triangle, if you haven't seen it yet. There's the right angle. Looks like we have a leg and a hypotenuse, so that means we are not using tangent. And since we're using the side that's adjacent to us, we're going to use cosine. So this is the cosine of an angle, and the angle that we're referencing here would be this one here. So cosine of A is equal to the adjacent, which is 100 meters, over the hypotenuse, 150. Okay, so the cosine of A in simplified form would be 2/3. All right, I'm going to go to my calculator, type in 2/3, and then hit that inverse cosine key. Sorry, got to hit inverse cosine first, then 2/3. And I get 48.2 degrees. So this is what I did. And rounding to the nearest tenth of a degree, 48.1 degrees. Now be careful, that is not my angle of depression. My angle of depression, remember, is over here. Okay, angle of depression is up here. So the angle of depression in this case is 41.9 degrees. All right. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense there. We used the inverse cosine. We talked about the angle of depression, elevation. Sometimes it's an airplane looking down. Sometimes you're on the ground looking up at the airplane. Different things like that as you do those homework problems. Good luck. Hopefully